Welcome to Coming to New England. My name is Erin Shea, and my guest today is my Nana. How are you doing today, Nana?
Fabulous, thank you.
Thanks so much for being here. So my first question is, what is your full name?
My full name is Kathleen Rogers Hanley.
Wonderful. And could I ask you why your parents gave you that name?
Well, it's a long story. I hope you can understand this. My father and my uncle brought me to my baptism, and they gave me my name. The story goes that my mother was calling me Bridget, and my father said, "Oh, no, she's Kathleen after my sister." "Okay," says my mother. And then when I was 16 and I went into the city of Boston to get my working papers, they said, "You were never registered." I started to cry. I said, I was 16 and I needed that certificate to get the job. And he said, "I can't give it to you. You're not registered in the city of Boston." So I stopped at the rectory. Of course, I walked into Boston. I walked home. I stopped into the rectory, and the priest opened up the book to 1941, and he said, "What's your birth date?" And I gave it to him, and he said, "You're not registered." I got a little mad, not at the priest, but I said to myself, I bet my uncle and my father screwed up my baptism. So home I go. My father wasn't home from work, so I called my Uncle Pat, and he was home, and he said, "Oh, yeah," he says, "I don't know." He says, "Your dad gave you the name." I said, "Okay." So I waited for my father to come in, and my father said, "Yeah, I gave them the name." I said, "All right." So I went back, and I said, "My name is Kathleen." So he went, "Well, I'm going to do page by page." And then he found me, and they had registered me as Catherine. So I learned at 16 that I was Catherine. I don't use the name except legally, so my name is Kathleen.
So you were just mentioning, your family and everything like that. So how did your family and how did you come to live here?
My dad was 44, my mother was 33 when they got married. They had an apartment in South Boston, which is a section of Boston, and that's where I was born.
What's your earliest childhood memory?
The first really big adventure that I can remember is when we bought our own home. It was a lovely three-family house, and
Yeah.
There was only 3 houses it was called Burnham Place. And
awesome.
We were on the second floor, and it was a beautiful staircase, and yeah, we had, my parents took the dining room as their bedroom, and then we had 2 bedrooms, one for me and my sister, and one for my brother and my 2 brothers.
And you just mentioned you like to play checkers and gimp and things like that. Were those your favorite things to do for fun, or were there other things? Did you ever go to the movies or go to the beach or something like that?
Well, you know what? Because I lived in South Boston, and my parents came from the old country, Ireland, so we didn't go too far because there was so much activities at the school in the summer that we really didn't have to. And I loved to be, I was active. I played squash ball with the boys and, put on the heavy glove. And that's what we did. We did everything.
All right, so during the school year, what was school like for you? What were your worst subjects and your best subjects?
Well, when I went to kindergarten, we had to pull out a wooden mat to lay down and take a nap on. And I used to tell the teacher, "I can see my mother sweeping the stairs. I want to go home," because I could see the school from our house. And I didn't want to be there. So that was a shocker,
Yeah.
That says that you're going to do what you're told and you're going to attend kindergarten. And then after that, I got a uniform like my sister because we went to Catholic school, and off I went to Catholic school. I walked into the building and I never left it until I graduated from high school.
I was wondering what your religion was when you were growing up. Did you
I
go
was
to a
Catholic.
specific church?
Yeah, my
and things
parents
like
were
that?
from Ireland, of course. I was Catholic. Yeah.
Did you have a specific church that you attended with your family?
Gate of Heaven. Gate of Heaven.
Oh.
Yeah.
So where you were Catholic, how were holidays, birthdays, and Christmas and things of that nature?
Fabulous. We had a great time. You know, my parents would invite people over and they'd all be talking Gaelic. I don't know a word they were saying. We had a lot of fun. They enjoyed it to the fullest. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. I wanted to know how the world is different today than it was when you were a kid.
Nobody swore. There was no swearing when I was growing up. And people were respectable about each other. The boys respected the girls respected the boys.
Yeah. What world event had a big impact on you? Was there anything that went on, that was really influential to you?
Your mother, I gave birth to your mother
Yeah.
when I was 22. And I think your mother was just days or maybe weeks old when J.F. Kennedy died, and everything shut down. Everything shut down in South Boston. All the stores, nobody left their houses because everybody was glued to the television.
Did you ever get married?
Yeah, I got married in 1962. Yeah,
How old were you?
21.
And what was it like to be proposed to?
I was absolutely floored. I thought to myself, what the hell is going on? Well, I didn't say it, though. I mean, I didn't expect a diamond. Well, I don't even think I was in love with him when he gave me the diamond. I mean, it just all happened so fast,
Yeah.
you know.
But you
I
did
mean,
end up
my
getting
first
married,
date was, a gentleman that was a friend of mine came over and said, Don wants to call you. He wants your phone number. He wants to take you out. And I go, don't give him my phone number. I don't like his looks. I don't want to be bothered with him. Don't
Yeah.
get me involved. Then he came over and he said it again. And I said, no, don't get me involved. The third time, Ken came over and he says to me, I gave Don your number. Boom. And so when Don saw that Ken gave him, that he got the number, he came over and he introduced himself and he asked me if he could talk to me, and then he says, I'd like to take you out. And so we went to the movies and we saw Midnight Lace with Doris Day, and he fell asleep snoring. He was so loud I could hardly hear the show. So when the movie was over, one of these, let's go. And he asked me if I enjoyed the movie. I says, I did, but you didn't say it. I said, you snored through the whole movie, so, I don't think that was a good impression on your side. So I says, don't bother. And he kept calling, and my father would answer the phone, because that was the story. We didn't answer the phone. My father answered the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And my father said to me after the fourth time that he called, if you don't talk to this boy, I'm going to pull this effing phone out of this effing wall, and that be the end of the phone. Oh, I said, oh boy. So when he called, I took the call. So he says, well, you'll have to give me another chance. He says, or I'll keep calling.
But you did give him the
I gave him
you
the
gave him a
chance.
second chance, and
Yes.
then you guys ended up getting
So
married.
we ended up getting married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where and when did you get married?
June 1962.
And that's wonderful. So what memory stands out most from your wedding?
Well, leading up to it, my parents were both hit by an automobile in April, and the wedding was in June. And the police said, your mother went to St. Elizabeth's, your father went over to Mission Hill.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back, got my car, and I went to the hospitals. My mother had 2 operations, and then by the time I took my father home, I told him, I says, I'd like to call the wedding off. And he said, well, we're going to sit down and talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, nothing to talk about because I was getting married.
Can I ask you just, how was it like to be a parent, and how was it like to be a grandparent?
It was phenomenal because, you build on your life, I thank God every day for them. I had a wonderful husband. I was, the mother.
So that's wonderful. And, I think everything you've told me has been wonderful, and you've seemed like you've lived a great life. So just the final question that I have for you is, how would you define the American dream?
I had a great upbringing. I had my religion. I had a ton of friends. I married a wonderful man. I really had everything that everything I needed
Yeah.
because I was blessed. I always prayed. Prayer gives you a lot of peace.
Yeah.
And everybody was moving along in their life, and I was happy to
Yeah.
skip along with it. And I loved 3 daughters, and I dressed them all alike, and
Exactly.
it was fun.
Yeah.
I mean,
And that was your American dream.
that was
you
my
know?
American dream.
So it has been my pleasure to interview you today. Thank you so much for coming here. Thank you for being here, Nana.
Thank you for being my granddaughter.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
This is Erin Shea, and
God
you've been
bless
watching
everybody.
Coming to New England. Thank you very much, Nana.
Thank you.